So, whatever, the stream can be the wrong information. Guild collab to me. Okay. That's good.
It is good. I'm excited about today's beer.
June 12th,
Today?
2025.
Yes.
First off, Frederick Forsyth died. We talked about this. Sad news
Sad news.
for the pod.
May
Fans of the pod.
he rest in power. Author of Day of the Jackal, where we started here. He was old though, right?
He was an old guy.
And it wasn't a violent death.
No, I don't. It was not a violent death, which he probably deserved. Not in a like, you deserve to be violently killed, but like, you know how Tom Cruise is going to go at some point. A loud death
Without a parachute malfunction or something.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But you know he made it, and then now he's not here anymore.
I didn't know him personally, but it still feels like a loss.
It is. I think humanity as a whole has lost a person that, for the positive. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But now he gets to be reincarnated as a new baby bird or an alligator.
You and I both know birds aren't real.
Or a froggy.
A robot. Murderbot, Season 1, Episode 3, felt short. Was short.
Yeah.
Because they're 20 minutes long, and approximately 19 minutes of that is the intro.
And I think they're all going to be 22-minute eps from here on out. First one was a little bit longer. Second one I think was a little bit longer, but I think it's a tight 22, which is kind of a weird number in today's streaming era of TV.
It definitely feels like some network television in that I mean, I like it. I like the bite-sizedness of it. But it does mean our summary is going to be pretty short.
Yes.
So our ship with our intrepid heroes is on its way to explore the colony that's on the other side, or the research station that's on the other side of the planet that we've already seen some foreshadowing to has been absolutely destroyed.
Uh-huh.
When they're on their way there, they realize that their comms have been jammed. They can't send any communication. They think that's a little bit weird. Our Murderbot...
It's not according to protocols specifically, right? Mm-hmm.
Protocols. But our Murderbot does know it does tend to happen. It's not unheard of. They get closer. They weird the robot out a little bit by asking him personal questions, which I think is going to be a common theme. They arrive at the station. He convinces them to stay back and wait as he enters the station.
Mm-hmm.
He says nobody's here.
Which is not true.
That's not true. It's just a bunch of dead people here. He sees what appears to be two other bots of the security variety that have killed each other, and he says, that seems weird. This seems too clean, which is also a narrative theme of the show, which is that he often looks at situations happening to him through the literary device of television shows he watches,
mm-hmm.
which all seem to be sci-fi, somewhat Star Trek based.
Mm-hmm. Some sort of Star Trek soap opera type of vibe. So the one robot wakes up and attacks him. Yep. He fends him off because he sees this coming, because he had seen the ep.
That part was a little weird to me because he was like, this is a superior robot, but it was damaged. But he was like, I know all of its moves, which I thought that was a little weird. Why did he know all the moves of the robot if he's advanced or not as advanced?
Do human feelings make you a better fighter?
Ooh. I would say there are situations it does, sure, and situations it doesn't.
What about this situation?
In this one, his human emotions probably not helpful.
Well,
but his his inquisitive nature was helpful, and that he was like, he didn't just accept the first solution.
Yeah, he was ready
He's
for
not
that
following
jump.
protocol at this point. He probably should have already left the station when they realized everyone was dead.
But then he fends him off. He's not necessarily ready for the second jump because there's somebody else ready to get the jump on him, and that's where we cut with a little bit of a cliffhanger.
Bum, bum, bum. There was also a small interlude where he's watching the security cameras back at the station, and he catches his kind of nemesis at this point, his antagonist, if you will, within the crew that doesn't trust him, going into the mission leader's room and sniffing her pillows. My theory so far is that he's also a robot of some type. He does act like that. We know he's augmented.
We talked about this offline. He reminds me of the robots in the Alien franchise. Spoilers for the franchise Alien, but there's robots in there. And he reminds me just from the way he acts, the way he's approaching the role from those actors that have played those robots, some of which you knew were robots out of the gate, some of which you find out during the course of the movie. Surprise, this one is a robot. He's playing it the same type of mannerisms as those actors.
Which would also show why he doesn't trust the security bot more. I really like the dynamics of the different people in the show. This very much has the same feel as Avenue 5 without the absolute absurdities. It does have that absurdity that mocks insane liberals the only way that liberals can, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's definitely a comedy show. It's well, a comedic show, not necessarily a comedy, an action show with very comedic elements.
It is a lighthearted sci-fi with some dark elements. And
Skarsgård is still killing it.
He's doing great. I love his
mental
attitude.
asides before he talks are hilarious.
It was funny that they mentioned, what did they ask? He's not going to kill them or he's not a danger to them, and he waited a long time before answering?
Yeah, I was going to bring that up because we got two central conflicts going right now, right? One is what happened to this other camp on the other side. We see they're mostly dead. What is the mystery there? Who is pulling the strings there? And then the other conflict is, when is the crew going to find out that this robot has become somewhat, can I use the word sentient? Okay?
Sure. And also he has some secret memories that he can't access that he's kind of working on, which so far have just foreshadowed to a genocide, basically.
Yeah.
It may just be dreams, but he has some foreshadowing of just murdering a whole bunch of people.
And for this central conflict number 2, when did they figure this out? They gave several clues to the rest of the crew that he has acquired this new sentience, like the one that you're talking about, where he pauses, thinks for a little bit, and they say, wait, aren't you supposed to talk immediately? You're a robot. Aren't you just supposed to knee-jerk reflexive stimulation response?
That's a yes or no question, even not to a robot. Which, if in this world, it makes more sense that a robot would pause at that than a human would, because they want to answer truthfully, so they actually have to process that information, not just go, of course I wouldn't hurt you, and not actually consider it. The pause is doing a lot of work, that's for sure. I have to suspend some disbelief on a lot of that, because all of his human reactions don't seem very robot-like. And it's not the motivation part that bugs me, it's just the way he takes time to answer things. I don't think that checks out with him supposed to be in this advanced, somewhat sentient life form where he would just that would come right to him. But for the narrative choice of it, it's great. It's very entertaining.
Yeah, and to some degree that's built into the construct of the show, where you get so much of those comedic beats and some exposition by his inner monologue, which has to take place before he answers. So part of that is just sort of the structure of him in this role.
Yeah. anytime I see a robot acting like a human in Hollywood, it always just seems overly human.
When are we going to let the robots play robot parts?
Right? Who's standing up for the robots?
Why did the robot lie about there being nobody? Why did the robot not say it's a bunch of dead people? What was the motivation there? I'll vamp. He walks into the room. There's everybody
I'll think on this. No, to me, it's just him still trying to hide.
Hide what?
That he's not following what a robot would do, or that is what a security bot should do. And so he's just omitting information specifically because he doesn't. The less information you give, the less chance of you getting trapped in a lie, right? Like that's what they like in the theory of how to lie to someone, right? It's when you invent too many details is when you get lost in the story, right? And things overlap. That's often what cheaters and narcissists fall into, is that they over detail things because they know they're lying, so they want to make it believable to you, so they over expound on it. And I think he's doing the opposite and using the technique of like, if I just don't give them information, they'll have nothing to.
But why does he not want them to know there's a bunch of dead bodies in the base?
I don't think he knows why he doesn't want to. He just knows that he should have, according to protocol, turned around at that point. And so by omitting that information, they can't go, why is our robot doing things that that our security bot's not supposed to be doing?
Okay, so he went to investigate further against the protocol.
Yeah.
Finds out this atrocity. Lies about it because he doesn't want to say, hey.
We don't know. These could be horrible people.
Still bad to leave them.
You probably shouldn't just murder a whole bunch of people like that.
Still bury them, right? You should, or cremate them.
Notify their first of kin.
At a minimum, you should close their eyes and put a couple of pennies over their eyelids.
That is standard.
Even if they're the worst murdering, rampaging psychopath, they still deserve 2 pennies over their eyelids. Am I wrong?
So you're giving them fare to cross the river Styx?
I mean, we're talking about human beings.
That's fair. Yeah, I'm looking forward to episode 4.
Same.
Onward, upward.
Yeah.
Anything else to say?
Yeah. Stay gold.
Okay.